There are two really powerful features in Priority that go hand in hand. The ability to create flowcharts of your business processes and to create business rules that determine how to step between each process and how the system is automated. All of this eliminates the need for a significant degree of customization that is required in other systems, because it can all be configured by the user or the reseller as part of the setup without any code. Let's look at how these features work in practice. Every transaction in the system has got a flowchart with business processes on it. And here is a very simple flowchart for quotations, where we've configured the system so that quotations start as drafts and we move them to become ready for approval or working on more generally. And then once they've been worked on, they are finalized. And up until the point they're finalized, they can be cancelled. That was a very simple flow to create, but we're going to add a rule to the ready status so that when somebody puts it into ready status, we want to assign it to one of our users, maybe the sales manager, but only if the value of one of the fields, let's say the actual profit, for example, is above a certain figure. So we'll simply specify it as over 1500. So now we have the rule that will determine when quotations are automatically assigned to SJ. And if we close all of that down and go and actually create a quotation, you should see the impact of all of that. We'll make this a very basic quotation to one of our customers. We'll throw on a simple product, but quite a few of them, so that they meet that rule of having enough profit on them. And let's pick the quotation number up. You will notice that this is currently a draft status. That's how the quotation starts life. But I'm going to say I'm now ready for this to be assigned however it needs to be assigned and worked on. So saving it as ready will create what is necessary. And you may have noticed that saving it as ready, we'll just go back in just to confirm that point and go into the quote number and drop it in. It has automatically assigned it to SJ because it met that criteria. Another important aspect of the flowcharting in the system is the ability to have Priority communicate with your users when certain events happen within the system. Let's actually see the flowcharting in action in combination with that communication. I'm going to add a new status, which is approval required. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to say that the approval required status requires a path from ready to approval required, and the approver can then create the final version, or alternatively, if we draw a further path, they can send it back to the ready status for further work. And you can see how simple the flowcharting is. But again, I want a rule in here for the communication. And in this case, I'm going to say that when the document reaches this status, we want to send an email to our sales manager to say quotation requires approval. Please approve, and we can actually add in the number of the price quotation itself as a field, which will provide the link to the quotation, as you'll see in a moment. And we'll just say ASAP. And again, I can apply multiple value criteria, but we've already got one that has assigned the relevant quotations to Stephen. So we'll leave it set up in this way. And that's all that we require in order to configure the rule. Let's look at the effect of all of that. We're going to go into a quotation and we'll drop in the quotation that we were working on. And you will notice that this is currently in the ready status. We want to assign it to the approval required status and save it. And you recall that we set up a rule to the effect that that would email our sales manager. If we, for a moment, log in as the sales manager, then once we're logged in, we can go and check the mailbox. And from in the mailbox, we'll find the latest mail, which shows that a quotation requires approval. It's that 21 that we were working on, with a drill down into the actual purchase order, to the actual price quotation. The other significant part of the power of these two features in combination can be seen by looking at one further aspect of the flowchart, which is that in each of the statuses we can set properties, and these determine what it's possible to do while the transaction is in this status. So while an approval is required, is it possible to make revisions to the quotation? Does it remain active? Does it have a to-do list entry associated with it? Can you create an order? Does it change its status on printing or on ordering? All those kind of things are sensitive to which type of transaction you have. So we're looking at a price quotation, but if, for example, we were in a service call, then we could set up an example that a service call could not actually be completed until it had been approved for the work. And the final part of that, if we go back to the rules, is that you've also got the ability to set rules which act on the length of time that something stays in a status, or is whether it's past its expiry date or any other date that's in the system. So, for example, again with the service call, if a service call has remained untouched for 4 hours, we may be close to breaching our service level agreement, and we want somebody else to be emailed and alerted to move it forward. That can all be automated using the business rules on top of the business process management workflow.